Hey guys, it's Daniel. Welcome back.
The following is from Nirvana Facts by John D. Lurson. I have a lot of Nirvana-related videos on this channel, including interviews with Nirvana producers Steve Albini, Jack Endino, Steve Fisk, and much more. All the interviews and videos on this channel are original. I'm the one putting them together by myself. If you want to help me make more videos, the best way to do so is to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Quote, Nirvana altered rock music forever. As a result, the band's business and legacy continue to grow, just as the surviving members continue to evolve creatively and build new identities for themselves. Krist Novoselic and Dave Grohl made their first post-Nirvana appearance together at the Yo-Yo A-Go-Go Indie Rock Festival in Olympia in the fall of '94, backing the Stinky Puffs, the group helmed by Jad Fair's 10-year-old stepson Simon Fair-Timoney and Cody Lynn Ronaldo, the young son of Sonic Youth guitarist Lee Ronaldo. The final song of the Stinky Puffs set, I Love You Anyways, was an emotional number about Cobain penned by Timoney, who Kurt had befriended during Nirvana's last tour. Shortly after the Stinky Puffs show, Krist and Dave formed bands of their own. They would both also collaborate with other artists and pursue projects outside of music with varying degrees of success. Krist Novoselic's band, Sweet 75, took shape when Krist Novoselic met Eva Las Vegas, a Venezuelan street busker his then-wife Shelly had hired to sing at his 30th birthday party. Although Krist first envisioned producing an album for Eva, they evolved into a band as they began to write songs together, with the addition initially of a drummer, Bobby Lore. Taking their name from a poem by Theodore Rothke, they played a few Northwestern shows and, on the strength of Krist's Nirvana pedigree, signed to Geffen. The group's Paul Fox-produced album included guest appearances by R.E.M's Peter Buck, Ainsel Romero of Sky Cries Mary, and jazz great Herb Alpert. Perhaps because of Krist's stature, critics were polite about the record. AllMusic.com's Stephen Thomas Erlewine wrote, Novoselic attempts to bring adventure and experimentation back to guitar-oriented alternative rock with Sweet 75's eponymous debut, with mixed results. It's admirable that the duo blends indie rock with heavy rock, Mexican music, lunge, and country, but the intentions are often better than the final product. End quote. Ultimately, the sales were minuscule and the band disbanded in '98. They briefly regrouped a few months later, but plans for a second album were soon scrapped. By mid-1999, Novoselic began focusing his attention on Sunshine Cake, a band he and musicians Bill Rieflin and Anissa Romero were working on. Concurrently, Krist directed his first movie, L7 The Beauty Process, a low-budget, tongue-in-cheek documentary about Nirvana's former touring partners assembled from footage that he shot on tour in '97. By the end of 1999, Krist had launched a one-off punk band called the No WTO Combo, with former Dead Kennedys frontman Jello Biafra, Soundgarden guitarist Kim Thayil, and drummer Gina Mainwall. They booked a gig at the Showbox in Seattle for the night before the World Trade Organization Summit in Seattle, but it was postponed because of the curfew zone issues and rescheduled for the following evening. A recording of the gig would ultimately see release via Biafra's alternative Tentacles label as Live from the Battle in Seattle. Jack Endino mixed the EP, which also included a 15-minute speech by Biafra. In 2002, Krist Novoselic formed Eyes Adrift with Meat Puppets frontman Kurt Kirkwood and former Sublime drummer Bud Gaw. It's been fun for us to get back to playing music, Krist said on August 27, 2002 in an interview for Rolling Stone. After all, we're musicians. We should be playing and creating music. Speaking just a few weeks ahead of the trio's debut via the now-defunct New York indie label Spin Art Records on September 24, 2002, Krist was hesitant to accept Eyes Adrift being labeled as a supergroup. Citing the likes of 80s bands Asia and Mike and the Machines, he joked, that term has a bad connotation. We've all got our past, which we're really proud of, but our future is Eyes Adrift. People have it in their heads that we got together because we all had tragic situations in our previous bands, but it was purely coincidental. That would be like saying that we all got together because we all come from trios. Novoselic explained how the trio came together after he dropped in on a solo gig that Kurt was playing in Seattle in the fall of '01. I was like, wow, Kurt still got it. Afterwards, I approached him about getting together to jam. Ironically, Bud, who I'd never met yet, but who was also a fan of Kurt's guitar style, was thinking the same thing after he saw Kurt playing solo down in California. So he called up Kurt to see if he'd be interested in jamming. Once we all got together, I had some songs and Kurt had some songs, and we made up some more, and it was really comfortable. Honing that new material in Kirkwood's hometown of Austin, Texas, Eyes Adrift road tested the songs during a club tour in January and February of '02. Those gigs in venues like I Spy in Seattle, The Troubadour in LA, and Emos in Austin, in front of fans in old Nirvana, Sublime, and Meat Puppet t-shirts, were quite reassuring to Krist and the others. How could we not feel confident in that environment, he explained. No one who showed up really knew what to expect from us. I hope they weren't expecting Teen Spirit or Backwater, but at the end of each show, people were into it. We didn't see anyone walk out of those shows, and for $10 or $12, we gave them real entertainment. After that preliminary tour,
Eyes Adrift spent 3 weeks in an Austin studio and came away with a diverse 12-song rock and roll debut. The melodic Inquiring Minds was one of 3 songs that Novoselic sang, lashing out about the media circus that exploited the 96 death of JonBenet Ramsey, the child beauty queen. I was in a supermarket in Austin when we were in the early stages of the group, just working out the material, he added. And I saw one of these tabloids and it had one of those computer-enhanced photos of JonBenet with a headline about what she would have looked like now. I found the whole thing quite sickening. I also kind of identified with it because of what I personally experienced back in '94 with the death of Kurt. Despite Krist's positive outlook, Eyes Adrift failed to light a spark at radio or retail. According to Billboard.com, it sold just 9,000 copies in its first year. Not long after wrapping a 3-month tour in San Antonio's White Rabbit on December 8, 2002, Eyes Adrift split up. In a post to the band's official website on August 5, 2003, Krist Novoselic wrote, "I quit. I can't deal," expressing his frustration with the music business. "Every band I've ever been in just falls apart. That hurts, but I've got a thick hide from years of conditioning." Novoselic, 38 at the time, went on to say he wasn't quitting making music altogether, but revealed he was thinking about a run for political office. "I'm relatively young," he wrote, "and I want to follow my compulsions." In between Krist Novoselic's political activities, he returned to music for a time, joining Flipper on bass in November of '06 for touring and recording purposes. In '08, a studio album titled Love was recorded at Novoselic's Murky Slow Studios on his farm near Deep River with singer Bruce Luce, guitarist Ted Falcone, and drummer Steve DePace. It was produced by Jack Endino. Novoselic left the band in September of '09 to focus on his responsibilities at home. From November '07 to September 2010, he maintained a regular column in the Seattle Weekly, where he most often wrote about music and politics. He also appeared as a newspaper vendor in the '09 Robin Williams movie, World's Greatest Dad. And on a personal note, having divorced his first wife Shelley Dilley in late 1999, he married Darbury Stendaroo, an acclaimed textile artist, in early '04.